Okay, there you go. Okay. Hey, call to order the Greater Boca Raton Beach and Park District regular meeting, December 16th. You're welcome.
Commissioner Ernst,
Here.
Commissioner Engel,
Here.
Commissioner Rollins,
Here.
Commissioner Vogelsang, here, Commissioner Wright.
Here. Any changes to the agenda? No. We'll do public requests. Do you have one? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead to the podium and you have 3 minutes. Please state your name and your address.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
I wrote something down to try and keep it.
Yes.
in 3 minutes. Good evening. My name is Zach Epstein from 769 Northeast Bay Isle Drive, Boca Raton, Florida. And thank you for the opportunity here to share my thoughts. I'm here in the recommendation of former Deputy Mayor Andrea Levine and City Council member Fran Nicholas to discuss enhancing the quality of life in Boca Raton through sport, potentially as an extension of the recreational master plan and potentially as a separate initiative, specifically by creating better access to recreational athletic facilities and activities, and by extension, maximizing parks and rec resources at little to no cost. For context, I'm a former Ivy League athlete who loves to stay physically active and socialize through sports. But research backs my own personal experience and shows that finding places to play and people to play with can be a challenge. Participation in sport drops 75% from grade school to 40% after high school to under 25% by the age of 25. And despite this drop-off, data shows that people are searching for opportunities to play. Across the country, people search 4.8 million times per month on Google for places to play. In Palm Beach County, that number is 200,000, and in Boca Raton alone, 20,000 times per month. Needless to say, there's a lot of unmet demand. And shockingly, or perhaps not, despite that wave of demand, there's an abundance of underutilized supply. Research also shows that local athletic spaces, both publicly and privately owned, are utilized less than 50% of the time. I see this as both a problem, but also an opportunity. It's something I care so much about that I started a company to help further establish sports as a cornerstone of healthy, social, and empowered communities. In short, we use technology to make managing and growing local athletic spaces easy while connecting those spaces with people who want to play. We've built a discovery platform, booking engine, and venue operating system to give athletic groups, individuals, coaches, teams, and leagues the ability to locate and book various athletic facilities. And from the city's lens, attract more visitors, increase utilization, and reduce operational friction, and earn revenue or not from these spaces. If the city wants to make booking athletic spaces affordable, they can. And if the city has a profit motive, that's a possibility too. And although the cost of technology can historically be a blocker, what we provide is actually free to implement. From doing a bit of research, I've come to understand how important recreational sports and physical activity is to a lot of you, and to the people of Greater Boca Raton Beach and Parks District. My request is simply to be open to the conversation to explore whether we can provide value to the city and to the community. So thank you for your time and the opportunity to start this conversation. I'd be happy to share more details, a product demonstration, or anything else that's relevant at any point in time. Thank you.
Perfect.
Close, almost.
Thank you. Did anybody have any comments or anything?
Well, the only comment I had is I'm involved in different recreational sports here in town, and it's not a matter of the biggest challenge is utilization, because during the school year and with the rectangle fields, we're challenged to meet the needs for everybody with that. And the same thing goes for any other, whether it's Boca Hoops or the Soccer Association or Little League. I see it, we're challenged to fit everybody, to meet everybody's needs. And we have a pretty good contingency of adults that are looking to play sports now too, with a recreational soccer program that we have in town for the adults, rugby, So fitting all that together is a challenge. If you've got a better solution than what the city has as far as, I don't know when, if there's an open space on the weekend, I don't know where it is. It's certainly not in Boca.
Yeah.
So that's been a challenge to be able to expand our facilities to meet those needs. Is the reason why we have a new pickleball facility that we're building at Pat Reed to
Right.
give the adults that. You know, I'd love to hear more from you about it. If you'd like to schedule a meeting with me, I'd be happy to meet with you, hear more about what you have to say.
Yeah, absolutely. I really appreciate that. And for us, it's all about balancing individual sports, various moments in time. Obviously, there's seasonality to different sports. Obviously, there's highs and low points of every day when people are trying to play in mass or people are at work or at school. I would say the big component of what we've been up to is partnering not only with public groups and organizations, but privately owned as well, to make the entire lot of athletic facilities available to the public. And so would be more than happy to continue the conversation.
Zach, just get in touch with Brienne and she'll give you my contact info and we can schedule some time to.
Sounds
to
great.
talk to you about it, because I would be interested in hearing. a little
Yeah.
more.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, Craig, go ahead.
Yep, I echo Bob's feedback, so I'm happy to meet with you as well. And it would really, just a thought is, I'm not familiar with what the city has for tracking the utilization. So there's two parts to it, you know, we're driven by the sports teams that are volunteer driven, that get blocks of time that do things. And then we're driven by just availability of what's not utilized, when it's utilized. And I totally agree with you. You can better utilize some of those things at midnight to 4 a.m, I guess. I don't know.
Right.
But I would say it's dependent on, you know, city staff and everything else. So it's kind of a combination of what is our software that is interfacing with people for the open part of it.
Right.
And we really want to encourage full utilization, in my mind, as best we can on fields, with the exception of that downtime for recovery and stuff.
Well, yeah, and I think the biggest thing too is that be completely transparent, is that it's not on us
Yeah.
that this is, it's the
Mhm.
city
Yep.
that does all this. But it's great for us to know and understand that what they use versus what other options are available that might be more useful than what they're currently using, maybe. So have you had conversations with the city?
A few today.
Uh-huh.
Fran and Andy in particular.
Mhm.
Just to kind of kick off an
Just talk.
introduction of what we're doing. But I think conversation with folks at a more operational level would probably make sense to understand exactly what they're using today, what is working, what isn't working. Because again, I don't want to put something forward and recommend anything that either solves the same problem or doesn't solve the same problem. It's all about what kind of solutions can we create or opportunities can we
Mhm.
create.
Mhm.
And in terms of utilization for us, it can be blocks for leagues, blocks for teams, organizations. We have coaches who've booked through our system, open play programming run by individual recreational facilities or spaces, and then spot reservations by the hour or whatever time period is most appropriate for those spaces. So I totally agree that I would love whether it's an introduction or a conversation with the folks who operate, just to make sure that what we're offering and what we can provide makes sense too.
Right, and that's why I don't want to waste anybody's time with you having big conversations with people who can't give you any information on what they're using.
Totally.
So I think like the best thing would be for you to have a conversation maybe with Brienne and then
I just got your email information because I was on the. I was
Yeah, it was
wrong,
wrong
so-
email.
I think maybe that was my mistake, a typo, so I apologize.
So I will reach out to you tomorrow. We'll follow up.
Awesome. Yeah, I wanted to come in anyway and, figure out what the procedure and process is specifically for Boca, knowing that Boca Raton, Greater Boca Raton Parks and Rec and the city of Boca Raton are essentially two different entities that are operating in conjunction with one another. And yeah, like I said, if there's a solution that works, would love to explore it.
Go ahead.
The reason I'm interested is because I'm constantly involved in issues dealing with field availability, and it would have to it can only be one operational person who can do the scheduling to make it work efficiently, because you can't have a system where coaches are logging in to try to get times. You know, the leagues themselves have a person that requests a field time from the city. They have pecking orders on who gets the fields when. Youth gets a lot of the priorities because they're a larger group, and competitive programs, fall down a little lower pecking order depending upon the percentage of residents versus non-residents. So
Right.
it's a complex situation that I think the city does a very good job with.
Great.
If there's efficiencies that they can gain from having some input, I'm sure they would be appreciated. But I've never had a problem with them in terms of trying to. They're always good at meeting the needs of the youth programs that I've seen and have been affiliated with, whether it's Boca Hoops or Saber or rugby. So
That's fantastic to hear.
Yeah.
And for us, we allow any of our partners to prioritize whichever of their partners are most important and schedule accordingly. So for example, if it is Saber, Boca Hoops, et cetera, giving priority to set aside blocks of time for those entities, and then if you want to call it backfilling those other times that may be unbeknownst to the greater public or don't get booked as often.
Yeah, well, I think this, as I said, the city does a pretty good job with fulfilling those through their rec track. They keep track of those things, but I have to compliment them. They just seem to getting better over time. But certainly, if there's some efficiencies that you might be able to lend to them, I'm sure they'd be willing to listen. So
Yeah.
But as Bree and Aaron said, we're not involved in the operational part of
Totally.
that. But I am interested in how that might fit in with the needs of the youth sports groups.
Great.
So
Yeah, no, I appreciate that feedback. It's really helpful to think about. So thank you.
you're welcome.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you guys so much. I
Thank-
appreciate the time.
Okay. Anybody else for public requests? No? Okay. Closing public requests, and we'll do approval of the minutes of the previous board meeting held on December 2nd.
Move to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Ernst,
Yes.
Commissioner Engel,
Yes.
Commissioner Rollins,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogelsang,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimous.
Okay, moving on to regular business. The first item is the pool resurfacing.
Commissioners, page 4 of your agenda packets is an overview, a memo kind of briefing you on the pool resurfacing bids that we received. Tonight, we're recommending that we approve the bid from ZTI. So we need a couple motions tonight because this is more than we thought it would be for the budget. So the first motion tonight, we would ask you to approve the award of the pool resurfacing contract to ZTI. And the second motion would be to authorize the use of $133,000 from reserve funds for the project.
Okay, do we have any questions? Yes.
Yeah, I just want to make one comment about the proposal, and has to deal with the insurance aspect where they're only providing a $1 million limit of liability, which to me is unusual in this day and time. Most corporations that I see have $1 million plus an umbrella policy on top of it. Now, how I understand that other municipalities seem to accept their at 1 million, but I'm just not sure that I'm personally comfortable with that. But if did you talk to our insurance
Yes.
company about that, Brianne?
Yes.
And they didn't seem to have any discomfort with that.
No, they were okay with that.
Yeah, because it's not their butt after $1 million hours. So, well, that's the only concern I have. I'd like the proposal, but I was not happy with the limited amount of insurance that they have. And I don't know that they can go out and buy just a specific policy for a particular project. And I don't recall what our, in the bid specs, we must have had specificity in terms of coverages that we required, right? So that's the reason why they're pointing this out.
Yeah. So
Okay.
they can increase their policy if we add another $15,000 to the scope.
Yeah, well, that's up to the rest of you. I've made my comments about what I think is an inadequate limit, but especially when it comes to completed operations coverage. So whether we want to spend another $15,000 or we want to roll the dice, it's not up to you guys.
Brian, you said 15, not 50.
15,150, yeah.
Okay.
So that would take our 148,000 out of reserves if we increase it.
Bob, what do you, I guess this is a lost transfer question. So given what you know about the scope of the work, what do you think I want to say the probable maximum loss, but what is the most, what is the ultimate loss that could happen that you think that would be there? And then the likelihood of it?
Well, when you get Morgan and Morgan involved.
Yeah.
I don't. I would say that, you know, $1 million would generally probably be adequate unless you had a major slip and fall and somebody, you know, on the surface out there and somebody broke a hip or something. That's probably the worst could happen. The other.
But is this a construction type thing or is it post-construction? What is that insurance?
Well,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
post-construction because if they just, if the architect designs something that causes an injury, and we may have some recovery there. But if it's built in such a way that there's an inherent hazard associated with it, whether it's the coping is sharp or the steps are not don't meet code or something, and somebody injures themselves. I don't see this when you're dealing with water and a lot of people. I know you have lifeguards here, but what is the potential? I don't know. I don't have any idea. People ask me that question all the time, and I just say, "Tell me what happened, and I'll tell you how much it's going to cost you."
So the insurance coverage though is for post-construction of if they defectively did something that wasn't approved.
Well, no,
Or-
no, we're not talking. We're talking
or
about
is it-
somebody
Injury.
something done where if they. I forget whether they're, did we talk about painting doing the resurface, the exterior,
The deck has already been
deck-
painted. The deck is done.
the deck? I'd be concerned about somebody, you know, either slipping on the deck area that's never happened, because I think we always put down the proper amount of treatment on the surface.
I think this is a major reconstruction of the interior. So
Yes.
from the interior perspective, that insurance, I'm concerned about, I guess, the workers' comp type claim of building it out. But if there's a significant risk, let's say they're changing lights, for example, but if they make the pool electric, you know, and someone dies, that's a real risk.
Well, you know, there's a certain requirement that you have for the filter down at the bottom of the pool
Right,
tube
yep.
being
The new filter standards, yeah.
Right. If you have a short in the electrical
Yeah.
and the lighting where somebody became electrocuted,
Right,
those are probably about the worst case scenarios, that somebody gets sucked down there and they can't get off of that filter. Or somebody gets around a light that, you know, has a short and
Right.
is electrocuted. So those are the areas that I'd be concerned about.
so as a thought, okay, there's two options. You could buy the insurance and say, okay, you know, that's, put more on, would get a higher number, whatever that is. A second option would be, hire a consultant just to double check or
Well, that's
as
what
it's going
permits
through
are
that
for,
part of the
though.
process, yeah.
That's what
WZA
permits
is
are
a,
for, right?
Part of it, but I mean, you know, how often do they deal with a big pool? I don't know. I mean, probably a lot.
our engineer is going through it, but it's 15,000 if we just want the extra coverage. It's $15,000 increase in the price, and then that's a $5 million coverage.
Is that a $5 million?
But how long is that last for? Is it just for the?
I don't know what the statute is on construction defects. I
To
feel
me,
like
it's
it was
just a trade-off.
I feel like
If
it was
you
like a
wanna-
7-year
if
thing.
you wanna-
It's 5 years.
Five?
Yeah, I believe it's a 5-year statute.
Okay.
I have to confirm that.
Yeah. For 5 million and a $15,000 additional premium, I'd be willing to spend that just to assure ourselves that we could adequately respond to any type of a claim that happened to a member of the public.
Okay.
Just out of curiosity. Bob, doesn't our overall insurance cover our liability here? Or is this an exception?
Well, yes, it does to a degree. but you want to transfer that responsibility to the person who is responsible for that. And that means that you have your name added to their insurance as an additional insured. So they would be primary and would get
Gotcha.
to them before
Okay.
it came to us. So.
All right, that,
Um,
yeah, makes sense.
yeah.
Okay.
So the
would-
motion would be to approve ZTI with the increased insurance of 15,000 for start. That's the first motion, yes.
And they become primary,
Right.
and you want that in the language.
Right.
Right.
So does that change the figure from 563 to 581? For the total amount? No, I'm sorry, 563 to 578.
Yeah, 578, yes,
Yeah.
is the total for
So-
ZTI.
As you're developing the motion, I just would suggest that you have flexibility, Brianne, because you want to make sure you're getting the coverage on the right thing. You know, that it's like a post liability type thing. It doesn't do you any good if you don't
Well,
get the.
It's
the
a
primary.
construction defect, so
Yeah.
that would be
Okay,
what it is,
That's what we're
yes.
talking
Yeah.
about, yeah.
Yeah, it should be, and probably in the specs, it said the insurance, there should be primary and non-contributory. And they should have the endorsement on there that includes the completed operations coverage as well.
Okay,
Construction defect area.
so the motion would be to approve this with the inclusion of the additional insurance coverage, is how we could phrase it.
Yes.
So somebody has to make the motion.
Oh, I move that we approve the expenditure of $578,000, which includes $15,000 for loss transfer for ZTI. Is the vendor here
Yes,
for ZTI?
Well, that would be the contractor. That's the ZTI, right?
we're awarding the bid to ZTI for 578,000, yes.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so and
For 5 million of coverage.
for 5 million,
Yes,
right. The important thing too is that their insurance should be primary, non-contributory. That's probably in the bid specs. I probably would have mentioned it if it hadn't have been in there.
right.
And it should include the additional insured endorsement should be for both premises and operations and completed operations too. There's a specific ISO endorsement for that.
Okay.
And if you need some help if they need some help, I'm happy to do that.
Second the motion?
Okay, any further questions? Nope.
Okay. Commissioner Ernst,
Yes.
Commissioner Engel,
Yes.
Commissioner Rollins.
Yes.
Commissioner Vogelsang,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
And then we need a motion to authorize the use of 148,000 from reserve funds for this project.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, nice.
Commissioner Ernst.
Yes.
Commissioner Engel,
Yes.
Commissioner Rollins.
Yes.
Commissioner Vogelsang,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, moving on to regular business number 2. Sugar Sand Park Fieldhouse Pavilions, Guard Booth and Ball Fields official buildings roof replacements.
Commissioners, page 9 of your agenda packets is a memo kind of going over this work order from WZA. In the past, we used CGA for the community center roof. This would complete all the roofs that need to be redone at Sugar Sand Park. On page 14 of your agenda packets, there is some language in there about limitation of liability. And it talks about we've agreed to limit the project claims to 25,000. So we have a revised, and it's in your folders, there's some revised language. The limitation of liability will be consistent. I'll just read this into the record. In recognition of the relative risks and benefits for the project for both the client and architect, the risks have been allocated. The client agrees to limit the liability of architect for all claims related to this project consistent with the insurance terms included in the master continuing services contract. So the terms that we agreed to with their master's contract, the continuing services contract will apply, not this lower number. And so I would ask for a motion to approve the revised work order for WZA for the roofing project.
Move to approve the revised work order for WZA.
Second.
Any questions or anything?
Well, we just went through a liability discussion and we're reducing it to 25,000.
No, we're not.
What is this?
We're not reducing it. That's what I just read, is that we're going to keep the terms consistent with our continuing services agreement with them.
Perfect. Okay. Okay. Just want to be clear.
Yeah.
That's why I'm a little slower
The
than.
one
that,
in your
Steve.
folder is the one we're approving, not the one in the agenda packet.
Okay.
Okay, Commissioner Ernst,
Yes.
Commissioner Engel,
Yes.
Commissioner Rollins.
Yes.
Commissioner Vogelsang,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, moving on to number 3, the city centennial partnership discussion.
Commissioners, on page 17 is an outline of some of the things we discussed, both at previous meetings and then in individual meetings that I've had with each of you, as far as our contribution and partnership with the city for their centennial. Approval or some direction tonight of this would enable me to then meet with the city and work out a contract to include all these ideas. So tonight, we're just asking for some direction and agreement from the board, and we can work with the city on an agreement for this, the funds and this project.
Do you need a motion?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I guess we can discuss it, but I move that we direct Executive Director Harris to
Arms.
move back. Arms. Oh, man. I'm going home. Getting it. No, she did it.
Oh, wow.
But this is an appointed position. That we direct Executive Director Harms to begin discussions with the city with a view toward a sponsorship in the amount of $50,000. Counselor, do we need not to exceed, or is in the amount good?
The amount is fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, do we have any discussion?
No, I think Brianne did a good job of outlining what you'll get for it.
I mean, we want to see the final.
Of course.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
you're gonna love the passport program. You're gonna love it.
you better fill it out. Get it all done. Yep.
Well, to Representative Harris's.
I'm never gonna make a mistake.
No, you're not.
No. I think the relationship that we have with the city is tremendously improved over in the very early years of my tenure on the board. And you know, the donation we make to the CRA is also pretty substantial, which represents a totally different thing. But you know, had we not been getting the cooperation that we have been receiving in the recent years, I probably would not. I've been a little bit hesitant about contributing because I would have thought that we've done our share of contributing with the CRA donation. But I think that you outlined a program that I could live with, that I'm comfortable with. The visibility that we'll get if the city will accommodate this process right here.
Yes.
I think you'd put together a nice little centennial proposal for us, Representative Harris. And I'm delighted that we're going to be able to participate in some way with the city financially like this. And it's, you know, and there's still room for major donors if they want to come up and,
Absolutely, yes.
but I think we've done it, and we've done a nice job with this proposal, and I appreciate your efforts to put this together.
I think it'll highlight the parks during the centennial nicely.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
I'm gonna come to the next meeting with a bag over my head.
So I feel like we have consensus here, correct?
You have a motion.
Yeah, we have a motion.
Second.
Sorry, we have to vote.
Okay, Commissioner Ernst,
Yes.
Commissioner Engel,
Yes, and thank you
Commissioner
for
Rollins?
pronouncing my name right.
Commissioner Rollins.
Yes.
Commissioner Vogelsang,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright.
yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Moving on to approval of payroll and invoices.
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion for approval of payroll and invoices in the amount of $3,699,483.02.
Hold on. Wait, that's the revised one. Sorry, go ahead.
That's right. Yeah.
Stop talking.
And just to point out to everyone, there is the community redevelopment payment of $2,654,224 in there. So that's our contribution this year, which goes up based on the valuation of the downtown area. So that's a pretty healthy contribution.
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Ernst,
Yes.
Commissioner Engel,
Yes,
Commissioner Rollins.
Yes.
Commissioner Vogelsang,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, moving on to reports and discussion items, Director Harms.
Commissioners, one item I just wanted to bring up tonight was the discussion we've had in the past about an easement for a lift station at Ocean Strand. The city has been working with the developer on this plan that would include the placement of a lift station at Ocean Strand. There's been some consideration about what that means to us and how that will impact the property. And I am at a point, and Jacob can weigh in here, but I would like to recommend tonight that we consider getting an appraisal on the portion of land that will be used for Ocean Strand. You guys may remember in 2019, we had an appraisal done on Ocean Strand. It was valued as a whole at $67 million. So there is some value to this property, and this is a permanent construction easement. It will limit our development of the property over time. I've also talked to our legal counsel about looking into what are the setbacks and what are the requirements that the city has in place now as far as constructing around the lift station. So like, can you put parking within 20 feet of it or 100 feet? So those are all things that we'd have to look into before we continue. But in general, I also think it would be a good idea for us to put a value on this land that would be used permanently for this easement. And so tonight we just wanted to get some direction from the board if that was a step that you all were willing to take in this process.
Just
And
if I may,
Jacob may have
yeah,
the
just a little
pricing.
segue to Brianne's comments. On Friday, we received an agreement it's referred to as a conditional agreement regarding the private lift station construction at Ocean Strand. It was a proposal from the city attorney's office. It's about a 50-page document that we're still working through and digesting. As it's currently framed, the district is not a party. This would be between the developer and the city, but there's also the easement, as Brianne indicated, which would provide the access for that lift station on the Ocean Strand property. What we would recommend, as Brianne indicated, is having an appraisal, an updated appraisal. I think we did one about 5 or 6 years ago. It was about 2018, maybe 2019. The cost, we put in a quote earlier today for a cost from the Urban Group, who's an appraiser we've worked with in the past. We haven't gotten a formal quote yet. It should be, I'm gonna give an estimate and say between $3,000 and $6,000. Should be whatever it is. The number should be less than 10. But we're waiting to get a final quote, which would provide for that updated appraisal of the entire Ocean Strand property to give the district a better idea of what we're looking for in the context of value. Then, as Brianne indicated, there are a couple other moving parts with regards to the agreement itself, just ensuring that we're not giving up any rights as it may relate to future development on the Ocean Strand property.
What are the exact dimensions that they're looking for?
We don't have, I asked for a schematic to kind of show where it would be placed on the property. We haven't received that yet. We have a legal description. I unfortunately cannot interpret the legal description of it. And that's why we want to get an appraisal done of that specific portion of the property as well.
Yeah, I'd like to know how much they wanted.
And there's a dimension, but then there's also what is the setback
Exactly.
as far as how we can build around it. So.
And this is to service a residence that's on, being built over on the ocean side.
And there's about 20 other homes that are still, they're not on city, so it would service them as well.
Oh, in the north of
Yes.
Ocean Strand.
Yes.
Okay, so, but I think it's important to know those issues, you know, the setbacks issues and what other things we might encounter when if we wanted to develop something in that area. I don't think we have any immediate plans, but I think it'd be a good idea to understand those issues and also to evaluate what the cost is, the use costs might be for these people to be able to tie into that and have the lift station on our property.
Yeah.
Yeah, one other thing to that is like, I think you're covering all the right things. It might be worthwhile, Brianne, to include in there the ability for the district to install connections for for our own bathrooms, but in this process, it's part of a requirement for it because
I
the
did talk,
permitting.
the city has talked about waiving, the city utility services director talked about waiving our hookup fees if
Okay.
they install it on the property. I think that's about a value of around 10,000.
Yeah.
So that would be part of the consideration as well.
I just want to make sure we can do it without,
Yes.
waiting a year to figure out if it's okay and where it's going to go. I want to kind of design it into the process is
Right.
what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's consensus, I think, general. Okay.
Without objection, if that's
Yeah.
agreement, consensus for Brianne, we'll work with Brianne to put together an appraisal to come back for your review.
Okay. And then I have some project updates. It's the end of the last meeting of this calendar year. Patrick Pickleball is moving forward. They're grading for the tennis drainage improvements. Those are underway. The utility work is ongoing. The footers for the roof are being poured. The new parking subgrading has passed inspection, so that project continues to move along. Column work at Sugar Sand Park is moving along well. they've stayed right on track with that. The new generator that was scheduled to come to the field house in November was delayed. It's expected by the end of this month, and that's a project the city staff, facilities people are managing. So once they receive it, they'll schedule the installation of it. The playground at Patch Reef, the footers for the restroom building are being poured, the retaining wall is being built. I've taken a look at that project last Saturday, and the demo is complete. That project is moving along really well as well. Security enhancements here at Swim Center are underway. They put the infrastructure in, and they're going to be installing the cameras and as the next step. So that'll be coming forth. We had the ribbon cutting for the mural at Sugar Sand Park. For those of you that didn't attend or haven't seen it, it looks really good. It really brightens up the pathway as you walk from the family pavilion out to the playground. It's a nice mosaic exhibit on that wall. And it looks really good out there. And then I just want to wish everybody happy holidays and a safe, happy, healthy new year. And that's it.
You have anything?
Just one follow-up. At the last meeting, you may recall Sam had indicated that we had settled the JJ Morley lawsuit, speaking of Ocean Strand and easements. We heard earlier today from our special counsel, Hampton Johnson. The final number that was agreed to was $90,000. I know the board had authorized no less than 80. We're just waiting for releases from the other party. Once the releases come, we hope to get payment within 30 days. So just a quick update there. That's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Commissioners, Steve, you want to go first?
Sure, why not? Who else's name I can mispronounce? I'm not going to use any names. I just want to wish everybody a happy, healthy, safe and prosperous holiday and new year. We've done some fantastic work in the past year as a commission, and especially our staff. And I look forward to even more in the coming year. So thanks, everybody.
Well, I second that. It's been a phenomenal year. There's a lot of things. It's funny. Everything is coming to life, right now. So it's taken a few years, but it really has evolved. So, and including the fact that the tower got put in, at least we forget that. That was a big accomplishment. One thing I just wanted to ask, someone approached me about beach volleyball. And maybe if Brianne, you could ask Greg, where are they on that? If they can expand it down at the beach or not? Because I don't know why it just kind of fell off the radar. I'm sure there's a story behind it, but we are in Boca, we are at the beach, so it's an easy thing for recreation to add on to it. But other than that, thank you very much for a phenomenal year. It's a pleasure to serve with you guys.
I feel like I've been absent instead of just for 2 meetings since it's covered such a long period of time. The first meeting I met, I was so ill that I didn't want to come sit here and contaminate anybody. And then the second one, I was trying to get back for the meeting and I was in conversation with Brianne. She says, "Don't bother. We just adjourned 14 minutes and." So congratulations, Greg. That record will probably stand for a long time. But yeah, I think just reflecting back on the past year, as Steve and Craig have said, it's been a fabulous year. The highlight of this year was the playground that we're building for the fully accessible playground. I was so touched by that young man that was there. And I don't know that there's anything else that I take any more pride in than what we've done with this, because this will be spectacular. And I want to make sure that we work to get that done as fast as possible, since the uncertainty of the issues that shows associated with this young man. I want to see him use that facility. And I've enjoyed working with this board. Is a pleasure to work with. Everybody on here is very congenial, including Representative Harris down here. That probably was an all-time classic.
Yes. Yeah, it goes in the Joe Biden Hall of Fame.
Yeah. So, but anyway, thank you very much for putting up with me in my absences, and have a happy holiday and most of all, a very happy, healthy, and prosperous New Year's.
Thank you. Susie?
We did miss you.
Yeah.
It was lonely up here without you and Aaron. Hope everybody has a wonderful holiday, a safe holiday, and a very prosperous new year. Thank you to our staff and to our adjunct staff. And of course, to our council. So we couldn't do it without any of you, and you make us look really, really good. So I think that the new year is going to bring even a better relationship with the city, and I'm really excited for it. So you guys have a good holiday.
Yeah, you guys say everything before I get a chance to, so it's nice. No, thank you for everything. Thank you to the staff. It's been great being your chair for the year, so thank you for that. And yeah, that's it. So this will be the last the adjournment for the last year.
Move to adjourn.
Second?
Commissioner Ernst,
Yes.
Commissioner Engel,
Yes.
Commissioner Rollins.
Yes.
Commissioner Vogelsang.
Yes.
Commissioner Wright.
Yes,
Motion
Yes.
passed.
we are adjourned.